Hey guys, so I'm standing here outside of Sayuri Healing Foods Cafe in Ubud, Bali. As you know, there's nowhere in the world that I won't go to learn more about how we can support our health and how we can naturally fight fatigue every day of our lives. This place is very unique because not only is it a restaurant, but it's also one of the most revered cooking schools for professional chefs, pastry chefs, and home cooks alike to learn more about how they can use raw ingredients to support a healthy lifestyle every day in their own kitchens. I came here today to literally learn what we can about fighting fatigue in the most natural, pure ways that you can do at home. So let's go into Sayuri, see what's going on. So guys, we're here with Eleanor and Julius at the amazing Sayuri Healing Food Cafe, and we're gonna have a nice conversation, Ella and I, about different ways that we can fight fatigue using whole foods and superfoods and foods that might be in your diet right now that you're not using the right way. And Ella, you have opened my eyes to so much. What I think is particularly interesting about you is that you come from a background that is pretty unique, right? So you were in the marketing world in big tech, and you transitioned to become a trained naturopath. And you are now a professional chef who shares your love with about whole food with people through education and classes here at Sayuri, but you've been doing this for years, right?
Yeah, I've been doing this for about 7 years now. I started off with Sayuri, and then I went to work for a big American company actually called Matthew Kenny, a very well-known gourmet raw food chef. And I was teaching chefs, teaching yacht chefs, teaching just people who want to know more about healthy food, really. Anyone.
And what has become kind of this obsession of yours? Because it does feel a little bit more than just a passion.
People say that. People say, you've got this thing in your eyes, you know, and I don't know, is it obsession? Is it passion? Is it excitement? Food is just the one simple way to bring out the best in yourself. That's the easiest way. See, so many people are depressive, unhappy, and through food, it's a bit like yoga. You know, you go to a yoga class and then it's just because you're back pain, but then after 5 years you realize you've changed your life. It's often happening. And with food, it's the same thing. The moment you start reading the back of the labels on products, there's a shift. And you decide to only put good things into your body. And that for me is big, because then you're suddenly deciding to only do things that are really good for you. And that just brings a lot of change.
You know, as you look at the whole food world right now, the raw food world, there's so much energy being pushed that way. So many people gravitating towards organic and whole foods. And, you know, if you were to kind of give the everyday chef at home kind of a piece of advice when they go to the market, what would you think about when you're going to the market?
I often hear organic food is really expensive, and it only is if you're trying to replicate a non-natural lifestyle or the supermarket lifestyle through organic. If you're trying to buy a lot of meat and cheese products, if you're trying to buy a lot of transformed products, they're going to be really expensive. And if I'm trying to get strawberries in December, they're going to be organic, flown in from somewhere, they're going to cost a fortune. Or these flight mangoes, who've seen these mangoes, they cost like $10 for one mango, and they're like, what?
Yeah, they're like $5 avocado.
In New York or in France, so they have to come from somewhere. And so the moment I go to these markets, I'm going to go and find out, okay, so what's in season right now? People at farmers markets, they'll tell you everything. They'll give you the best recipes.
Yeah, this was something that we talked about. Ella and I kind of bonded over this subject, which I have a love for farmers markets and being in places, and I completely agree with you. You walk in and it's almost a little jarring coming from the West, where we're used to walking into a supermarket and seeing shelves and shelves and shelves. And the reality is that regardless of where you are in the country, there's only so much that can grow in season. And if you're truly getting the right stuff and the fresh stuff from a farmer's market or from a more local grocer perhaps, you're gonna have a more limited selection. But the beauty with that is that you're able to talk to the people who actually pulled it out of the earth or pulled it off the vine.
That's really big.
It's really big.
It's enormous.
And they know what they're doing with the food, right? So it's almost this wonderful way to explore with food and have this incredible experience that maybe you wouldn't get otherwise. And I definitely definitely love the point that you make about only if you're trying to replicate the conventional lifestyle is the organic lifestyle more expensive.
Yeah.
And I do think that one of the big shifts we're starting to see that's going to continue is just, I don't expect that people will give up meat entirely, and certainly not that, but definitely eating less of it, making it less of a priority on every plate that they put in front of themselves.
Yeah.
And what's been amazing to me through my experience of kind of less consumption of meat is not only how I feel better, but almost more attractively, more immediately, is these flavors that open up, right? It's like, oh wow, like this is what, you know, just real broccoli can taste like if it's not around a steak or around some chicken. And so we're gonna start with Ella here. We're gonna talk about a superfood smoothie that you can have all day to help you fight fatigue. Incredible fatigue fighting smoothie that we can drink all day. Can you tell me a little bit about what we're going to put in it?
We can drink all day.
Yeah.
Yes, we can, absolutely. So post-workout, pre-workout, before, after, whenever, evenings, mornings. So we're in Bali right now.
Yep.
So a lot of the ingredients are Bali specific. I'll talk about them in a minute. But I will also talk about substitutions because I think it's really important to understand how I can change recipes into using more local foods.
Yes.
I focus here on whole foods. I think one of the most important things to understand when I'm eating foods and don't want to be tired immediately afterwards, we've been talking about juicing a lot, David, we agree on that as well. But the moment I strip a food of its fiber or of its hull or any other part of it, then I'm only eating half of it, it's going to be digested really quickly, really easily.
Right.
In supermarkets, it won't go rancid as fast. That's one of the main reasons they do this. But also, I don't have any fiber anymore to go through to my body, and it's just being digested really quickly, and then I have that famous crash.
Right.
The orange juice crash. People say I drink an apple juice and then immediately afterwards I feel that crash. Exactly. I always like to consider a smoothie as a whole meal. So a smoothie is not just a quick drink to pick up. A smoothie is a whole meal and needs to be really looked at carefully and said, so okay, is this giving me the nutrients, something that I need for a long time?
Right.
So this would be for me a perfect breakfast, or maybe after class, or in the afternoon. Some have this slump at work at 4 p.m. So something like that. If we look at this, I have some foods that are quite easy to digest. They're going to be, we say high in sugar, but for me they're whole foods. For me, fruits are not sugar. Yes, they're whole foods. So Balinese mango, deliciously ripe, and some beautiful bananas that I got from my landlord actually, and she told me they had come from a Balinese offering.
Really?
So a bit of love in the food as well, yes?
Can we talk quickly just about this idea of glycemic index in the foods that we're eating? So you mentioned that it's an important point to me because a lot of the people that we talk to, are dealing with either blood pressure issues or trying to manage sugar intake for various reasons. What are your thoughts there? So obviously we want to be careful, especially no white processed sugar, no candies, right, that kind of stuff. But as we look at more natural, products, whole foods, and the sugar content in them, what are your thoughts there?
So I do need part of this needs to give me energy for now, but it needs to be a whole food. So I'm not putting a sweetener. You'll see that there's no sweetener in here. I haven't added honey, agave, or any syrup.
Right.
So the only sweetener in here is going to be my fruit.
Right.
But since it is still attached to the fiber, it's going to take a little while, and it's okay.
Right.
So yes, it does have an interesting glycemic index. I'm going to put it, but I also want energy because I'm hungry.
Right.
Yeah?
And I also love the fact when we talk about this, and you particularly always bring up the point of whole foods, and like you just mentioned with juicing, is that there is a big difference, right? A juice,
enormous.
If you just have a juice that is apple, carrot, and maybe some kale or some celery, in most cases you're really just consuming the sugar content without any of the fiber. So you might feel good immediately, but like you said, that crash. So local bananas, local mangoes. What else you got for us?
Then I have some greens.
Okay.
So I remember here in Bali, we arrived in Bali, we said we need spinach. We need spinach and kale, and they're looking at us thinking, I don't know what spinach and kale is. So this is Balinese, and this is really good. It's in between the two. So it's half spinach, half kale. Okay. I think it's even called kalan.
Okay.
And so that's our version of it. So any dark leafy green.
Okay.
The thinner and the smaller and the baby, you get baby spinach.
Yep.
Yeah, that's going to have less fiber and less good nutrients in it.
Okay.
So something a little tougher. Yeah, so we're going to put these
and
in
a
here.
question for you on this is that sometimes with thicker greens, like maybe like a kale that we would get in the Northeast, right?
Yeah.
How do you feel about blanching the kale before you actually use it in smoothie?
Sure. We'll talk afterwards about the blender.
Yep.
And in raw food, we love like a really strong blender.
Okay.
There are Porsche, yes.
Okay.
And for that reason, because we like to eat certain foods raw. And then, my blender is going to do the breaking down. The blanching will do.
I have a couple other things here that don't look so familiar to maybe most of us.
So we then have what we like to call superfoods. I think we'll be talking about superfoods later. But superfoods are generally a very nutrient-dense food with low calories. So because we often hear, have you heard, broccoli has as much calcium as a glass of milk, So true, but that means I need to eat a lot of broccoli to get that same amount.
Sure.
And superfoods are foods. They're usually sold in the form of powders. We'll talk about some of them, but and they've been dehydrated usually, and they are pure nutrient without having to eat 3 kilos of berries or something in fresh form. So they're not something to form the base of a smoothie, but they're definitely a great add-on, and there are natural version in raw food of vitamin pills and synthetic ones, So we like to have them more natural, we like to have them more whole and more attached to where they came from in the first place. So spirulina, we're going to add to this. This is very high in protein. I think it was said also to be one of the highest protein sources by weight in the world. It is farmed or wild, and here in Bali we have some beautiful fresh spirulina. It's usually a powder.
Super interesting. So spirulina grows in a pool and is actually an algae, right? And what's cool about what they do here in Bali is there's a local farmer who actually harvests this, packages it, you can get it fresh, and eat it within 5 days or 7 days. But I know at home I'm more familiar with the powder. So in addition to spirulina, you also have a couple other things here. One in particular that I've never seen.
So this is Irish moss. Irish moss is a seaweed.
Okay.
And we use it a lot in gourmet raw food because it's our thickener. And it's a seaweed, we soak it and we make a paste out of it. And if you don't have it, you just don't have it. And leave it out. It's not a problem.
Okay.
What a lot of people like doing is making their smoothies frozen with frozen fruit. You know, if I get another batch of these beautiful Balinese bananas, I can just freeze them, and then I always have them. And then when I blend them, it's going to make a thicker smoothie. People like thick smoothies. Yeah. This is now hemp powder.
Okay.
Freshly ground this morning. So we grind our own.
Okay.
And we get the hemp with the hull.
Okay.
So I don't know if you know the hemp seeds, the little white ones. Yeah. They have been dehulled. So the skin, the little shell around them has been taken off. So we like to take for the hemp powder, if you get hemp powder that's green or brown, it's because it still has the hull around it.
Oh, interesting.
And we buy it whole,
and
then we'll just grind it ourselves in a spice grinder and the blender, because the very, very good nutrients in the hemp seed are the fatty acids, and they will go rancid very quickly.
Oh, so
we like to grind.
You say you could do every morning, right? Like before the smoothie or whatever.
Everyone does their coffee, grinds their coffee. So if you have a little spice grinder, then I would do that fresh as well. Anything with flax and anything with hemp, anything with a good oil, I would always do fresh.
So one other thing that I want to talk about is just the liquids that you're going to use.
So this is also really important because it's an integral part of the smoothie. Is going to be the liquid that I put in it. And I can just put tap water in it. The tap water will have no nutrient value whatsoever.
Right.
And so is the liquid also giving me some kind of nutrition, So we could use a green juice.
Okay.
So back to the juicing and the positive aspects of juicing. But I could add a little green juice if I wanted to. Here we have most beautiful coconut water.
Perfect.
If you have some nice spring water, then great spring water. Or a nut milk. And I like adding a little nut milk, a little fat. We have this fear against fat, fat, calories bad for you, etc., heart disease. However, a lot of vitamins and a lot of nutrients are fat soluble. That means that the body needs fat to actually absorb them. So I have a little bit of coconut milk here.
Oh,
this could be almond milk, this could be coconut cream, this could be anything. Just a touch, I don't know if you, often when you see carrot juice being sold, they will add a few drops of an oil.
Oh, yeah.
And so here I have mango also that's going to have some vitamin D in it, and I want to make sure that my body's actually getting that as well. So adding a little fat. And then a little fat, just just gives a smoothie should be delicious.
Should be smooth.
When I started out on this health food journey, I'm thinking, whatever, people were saying, does this actually taste nice? And I'm thinking, who cares? This is healthy. But I've changed my mind now. I really want my food to taste delicious, and I want it to be fun, and I want it to be great.
One of the things we'll do is we'll include the recipe along with some potential alternatives, but just looking kind of what you have here, what I truly appreciate again about how you consider food is you considered your liquids in terms of the benefit that they can bring, your fruits and your vegetables in terms of the benefits that they can bring, and any additional stuff in terms of the benefit it can bring. Nothing is out there just to be out there. Nothing is included just to be included. And I think that that's a big part of how I bonded with you, was the consideration and the thought towards everything that we eat, because it is the most frequent thing we put into our bodies. Right? So let's blend it up. Let's see you go to work. So Ella, thank you for this incredible introduction to a whole food smoothie that will help us fight fatigue, and in particular for sharing the reasons why. I think one of the things that often gets lost is why we do certain things and what the logic is behind it. And I know for me it makes it easier if I need to kind of act on my toes, make a decision while I'm somewhere as to why I'm going to do this. So I really appreciate that. And one last note that I really want to mention is these straws. So here in Bali, people are becoming way more consciously aware of how many plastic straws are getting thrown away every day across the globe. I read a statistic yesterday that 500 million plastic straws a day are being thrown away in America. So if you guys have a chance, there's great sustainable alternatives. Paper, like this is. There's also bamboo, which we see a lot around here, which you can wash and reuse. But thank you for making this, and we look forward to enjoying it.
Enjoy.